Hello, my Belfast Nation. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully, everyone's having a great day. If not, hope it gets better from here. All right, we are back with another Coffeehouse Crimes. All right, this one is titled "Random Coordinates Led These Kids to a Body: TikTok Suitcase Murders." That title intrigued the living shit out of me. I'm not even gonna lie about it. That's literally why we are watching it. Another reason. Another reason. I'm not a fan of TikTok. I don't know. I've never really been a fan of TikTok. I don't know why. I'm really not. But the, shit like this intrigues me. Like something that people use just to keep up with other people and have fun can turn into something that is just deranged out of all understanding and belief, just fucked up. And it can happen with anything. I mean, don't get me wrong, but it's just great. All right. If y'all just this shit tickles my brain. If y'all want to get your all's brains tickled too, go ahead, turn them lights down low, put on something comfy, cup with someone special. Let's get tickly brainified. There we go.
In June 2020, when a group of friends set off on a walk to follow some randomized coordinates, they had no idea that this exploration would lead them to a mysteriously abandoned suitcase. After getting their phones out to record the experience on TikTok, these teenagers approached the strange dark box.
How did they get the coordinates? Who gave these children coordinates to a black and gray, black and silver, maybe a matte collared suitcase in the rocks, which is probably waterlogged, been baking out in the sun, so not smelling great. I wouldn't even walked up near it, not even gonna lie.
It was only then that they noted an awful smell coming from within, and after opening the lid, they realized that what they were dealing with was something very, very sinister. Authorities would eventually confirm that inside this mysterious suitcase were the decaying remains of a body, and the teens' spontaneous adventure was just the beginning of piecing together a very disturbing story. But who was the victim, or indeed victims of this tragedy? How did they end up here, discarded in the bag? And who was to blame? Welcome.
Okay, that's cool. My questions are, how did the kids get the coordinates? Who would go to all this trouble to murder people, hide their bodies, and then give coordinates on where they're at? What kind of fucked up game is this? And why was it kids? That's craziness.
Welcome back to Coffeehouse Crime, folks. My name is Adrian, and today we're looking at the very disturbing case of the TikTok suitcase murders. Now, you may very well have seen the viral video found within this case. However,
Like I said, I'm not a fan of TikTok. I don't know why. I really don't know why. I've never been a fan of it. But stuff like this really does interest me because anything can be taken and turned into something just horrific. Social media, it gets done to such a worse degree, it seems like. It's awful. It's crazy.
do you know the whole story? But before we begin, and just to let you know that I post true crime and strange cases here weekly, so if that is your sort of thing, please consider subscribing to the channel. Right, and now with that said, please grab yourself a coffee, pull up a seat, and get ready for the deep dive. This is the case of the TikTok suitcase murders.
Tiki Taki Pocky murders. Suitcases of pocket, Tiki Taki Pocky murders. Trademark, about 5,000. Yes.
To begin with, this story takes us back to the city I was born. And so, without any hesitation, welcome to Seattle, Washington, folks. Found right up in the northwestern corner of the United States,
That is gorgeous. I am telling you. Like, if YouTube were to implode on itself, he would make an amazing travel agent. Amazing.
Seattle is a seaport city with a staggeringly large number of things to do. Initially inhabited by a handful of federally recognized tribes for the last several thousand years.
Really? So for like several thousand years, an Indian nation of different tribes, it was theirs. That's cool. Feel bad for them because I mean, they only have to war, which is awful. So much history in places. See what I mean? Great travel agent. He's got me just like pulled into the history of the place, and then he's gonna make us feel bad for the murderer, and then.
Seattle was founded in 1851 before being incorporated as a city in 1869. It saw several.
That is fucking gorgeous, though. Look at the mountains in the back. That's so pretty.
Boom and bust cycles over the years, including the Great Timber Era, Gold Rush, the shipbuilding boom during the First World War, and then the Great Depression. But nowadays, Seattle's economy.
The Great Depression made it look awful. I imagine the Great Depression made everything look awful, but that made it look awful.
Is absolutely thriving, to say the least. And although it's primarily built on the lumber trade, other industries such as international transport, IT and clean technology are all on the rise. With a city population of 740,000 residents and a metro area population of just over 4 million, it is very easy to get lost amongst the crowds here. Moving west of Seattle's heart, we find one of its oldest neighborhoods, which is known as North Admiral. It offers superior views of the city's skyline, and in addition to this, its neighboring suburb Alki provides a great walk.
That's fucking prettyful. Simply prettyful.
Along the coastline of Puget Sound. Start your walk on Alki Beach for a spot of volleyball, hop across the road to grab a coffee, and then head north along Alki Avenue to gaze over Elliott Bay. After about half an hour of walking, you'll find yourself at Alki Beach Pier. And let me tell you, this place is guaranteed to provide incredible views and sights. This is true for at least the majority of the time, but on June 19th, 2020, this statement couldn't be any further from reality.
Damn. Straight into some shit, huh, Adrian? Is that how we're doing there?
On this day, a group of teenagers came across a highly unpleasant.
Did they say randonautica shit? Oh god. Therein lies the troubles.
On this day,
Randonaut sent us to this part of the beach, and we found this black suitcase.
a group of teenagers came across a highly
We were joking that maybe the suitcase would have money.
unpleasant sight, and it all began with a game and a few videos on TikTok. During this time, the teens were playing Randonautica, an app available on Android and iPhone which randomly generates coordinates that enables users to explore the local area and report their findings. It's worth mentioning here that the coordinates given are entirely random and possess no logic or premeditated planning. However, the app does have a reputation for leading players to highly disturbing places, and this story unfortunately supports that theory. Randonautica instructed them to go to coordinates 47.5.
I'm sorry, that was hilarious. And this one, yeah.
59535 north and 122.38738 west. This led them to the eastern side of Alki Beach Pier, and when they arrived, they spotted a suspicious black suitcase lying on the rocks below them. The TikTok video starts innocently enough.
I mean, how does that work? Is it at the exact location, or is it like oh, right where that point is exactly where it's at? Like someone had to like stand over it and like angle some shit, or is it just like maybe a 50-foot radius or some shit? I don't know. It never interests me. It still don't interest me. Especially now that, find dead people.
The group were mildly surprised to see it down there.
Oh, we already read that one.
And unsurprisingly, as with anyone with a hint of curiosity, they headed down to take a look, even joking that perhaps it might contain money. But the suitcase smelled awful, and as they approached it, the powerful smell became unbearable. And this was when the jovial atmosphere abruptly jolted to what?
As soon as she opened it, the smell was overwhelming. Stinky!
one of sinister shock, as upon opening the lid, they realized it was filled with something wrapped in a bin bag. Rather than get themselves involved in something they didn't want to be a part of, the group cleverly decided to call the authorities to
By this point, we were getting a little scared and nervous. Oh, lordy.
check it out. And once they arrived, the place was immediately cordoned off as a crime scene. Now, the kids did have their suspicions, and sadly, they were proven to be correct, because found inside the suitcase
That was a bunch of baby diapers.
were the partial remains of a human body. It is worth mentioning that Alki Beach is a very popular and busy place to be, so to find something like this left out in the open
It was like a needle in the haystack type situation. Gotcha. Got it.
around so many people is alarming. Yet what was even more strange was how the random autograph had led them to that
I mean, is it though? People see people do stupid shit all the time. Get out there, it's late at night. Most of the people that's out there that late probably gonna be a little fuckered, for better terms. A little fuckered. People do stupid shit when they're fuckered. And other people who are fuckered really don't care what they do because they're fuckered as well. So there's a lot of tomfuckery. Yeah. So shit happens. What I'm getting to is shit happens. You know, not everyone's going to pay attention 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, all the time. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're just fuckered.
place the exact moment it had a body. Come to think of it, the chances of that happening truly were astronomical. After cordoning off the crime scene, police officers asked the teenagers and all other members of the public to leave the area. At first, no one knew what they were dealing with, but as the hours passed, they would find several other bags in the area, with most of them being in the water. And, furthermore, there was more
Like a dead body smuggling boat ran ashore and suitcases upon suitcases of bodies just start spilling out into the water, and now there's this. Fuck that. That's awful.
than just one body.
Gruesome investigation tonight along Alki Beach in West Seattle. Police find several bags containing human body parts near the water. Couples
Body parts found in bags. Straight to the point. I love it. Love it. Hopefully the kids was watching. Yeah.
Joel Moreno live tonight along Alki Avenue. Joel, the discovery has shocked the neighborhood that's often packed with people.
Neighbors don't know what to make of this, Preston. They do call it chilling. Police, they had this whole area blocked off for most of
The situation. This is funny. I don't care what you say. The neighbors don't know what to think. There's a body of water. And whenever I say body of water, I mean there are so many bodies in the water. We're just classifying as a fucking person now. It is a legitimate body with water in it. And the neighbors just don't know what to do. If you lived close to that, would you know what to do? No, you wouldn't. You'd be like, why the fuck? But the body's hit the floor.
the evening, and we watched as officers carried large plastic bags over to a tent where they could process that evidence without crowds of people looking on.
It was noted that detectives were investigating several bags containing human remains. They were located near the 1100 block of Alki Avenue Southwest, which was just east of where the teenagers found the suitcase. They eventually established that there were 2 bodies in total, and gruesomely, they
Well, at least there was only 2 bodies. I was thinking it was going to be like some kind of weird, like, body part exchange program. Never know. There's some weird shit in the world, y'all. Don't look at me like that.
had been dismembered and placed into multiple bags before being tossed into the water. At first, no one knew who these victims could be. It became evident that they were likely dealing with a man and a woman, but otherwise, the
maybe they killed each other and put each other in the bags and threw the bags in the water. Don't look too far into it. It's not logical at all, but since when is anything logical?
Authorities had no clue. But 11 days later, after passing the remains to the King County Medical Examiner's office, both of these bodies were finally positively identified. And tragically, they would have to let the families of 27-year-old Austin Wenner and 36-year-old Jessica Lewis know that they had died. Autopsy report.
Oh, was they a couple? Was they family? What is they? What is they? Oh, they look toot. You're dead though, poor things.
Reports determined that both of them had been beaten and shot to death before being dismembered.
Oh, fuck. Why beaten and shot? It wasn't one good enough?
Austin had been shot a total of 7 times, whereas
Beaten and shot a total of 7 times just for one person? That's overkill. Somebody was angry. But he was... Should have had a Snickers bar instead. Would have felt better.
Jessica was shot once. The
Oh, that's...
estimated date of their deaths was June the 9th, 2020, which was 10 days before their remains were found. This was ruled as the date of their death thanks to the help of technology, with detectives obtaining their phone records and learning that their phones had stopped transmitting or receiving data on June the 9th. At approximately 7:08 p.m. Jessica and Austin were partners and had been together for over 8 years, a clear testament to the fond love the pair shared for each other. Understandably, their families were mortified when they learned that the two had been murdered, and as most of these murder cases go, it was entirely out of the blue. Nobody had a chance to say goodbye.
One day, someone's gonna be murdered. And it's gonna be on, it's gonna hit the news, and it's gonna be someone that, this is just my imagination, okay? Don't look too deeply into it. It's a fucked up place up there. Father's gonna get up and be like, yeah, he was murdered. We've been expecting it. We've been expecting it for a long time. This does not worry us in any way, shape, or form. As a family, we all knew this was happening, and we stood by. We could be to blame too. We kind of let it happen. We knew it was going to. We did nothing. Yeah. It's a fucked up place in there. And I don't like to be there very long myself.
And this revelation would be the toughest for their 4 children. Jessica Lewis was 36 years old at the time of her death, and although her 4 children were from a previous relationship, she was happy with Austin. She was described as a caring person who worked with disabled adults. Jessica was also known to be a ray of sunshine.
You want to know something that's really freaking bad? Okay, for those of you that don't know, I have been doing reaction small bit of time. I've been long enough, okay? Long enough. Let's put it like that. For those of you that have been around for a while. Oh. The sweeter the story, the worse it gets. This got bad. Now it's getting sweet. This isn't right. This is fucking my whole mentality up. Now I know they're dead and it hurts even more.
And a very attentive and loving person. Going by the name of Cash Money Online, Austin was born and raised in Kent, Washington, and he
I'm a little glad. Cash Money. Damn.
attended White River High School, though not much is known about his job. The man was described as someone who had faith, a big heart, and found enjoyment in many things, including the outdoors, country music, campfires, trucks.
He sold weed. Not much is known about his job because he sold weed. Look at his face. He sells weed. I know, I'm judging a book by its cover. I don't.
dogs, Jessica, and his family. And although Austin was 9 years her junior, he stepped up to the plate to look after her 4 children with her. This was in addition to his own child, who was also from a previous relationship about 1 year prior. The two met.
Hell yeah, some Brady Bunch shit going on. Cool. 5 kids. That's why he's losing the hair. That's so sweet. They're dead. Oh god, they're fucking dead. Like, I don't like it. Oh, my brain's no longer tickling. It's melting. It's melting. I don't like none of it. No. So, they both have kids from other relationships. It seems like they are a very loving family. He seems like very good father to the 4 kids that's not his, plus the one that is. Oh, damn. Now they're dead. I mean, I know there's an age difference, but, like, my parents are 10 years apart, so and that, it's one of those things. Yeah.
And fell in love in 2012, and their friends and family all describe them as a strong and happy couple that, despite all difficulties, were able to deal with whatever came their way. Now, in addition to the autopsy report and their phone records, detectives were making good progress in other areas of the investigation. They soon learned through interviews of family and friends that the 2 victims were last seen at their home, which was located at 16466 Ambound Boulevard South in Burien, Washington. It turns out that Ambound Boulevard was not too far from the area their bodies were found, so it checked out with the officers. Found around 11 miles south, it's located just off the 509 highway and west of Seattle-Tacoma Airport. Anyone here remember Sky King? And this is where they learned something very peculiar.
Fucking Sky King! Miss you, bro. That, if you haven't watched that video, go watch it. It's on my channel. Just type in Sky King. There's one with him, and there's also one with Mr. Ballin. It is a 3-story one. The name. I've watched so many. Oh, cool.
Like many of our generation, Jessica and Lewis could not afford a home of their own yet, and since the two were unfortunately not able to rent their own home, they instead lived in a rented room of their landlord's house. And this house belonged to a 63-year-old man named Michael Lee Dudley. Now, from the outset, detectives were not confident that Michael had nothing to do with their deaths. After rechecking Austin's and Jessica's phone records, they noticed that a phone call had been made to another phone at 7:01 p.m, which was just 7 minutes before both of their phones were switched off forever. And of course, if you've connected the dots already, this number belonged to no one other than Michael. Now, this wasn't the only thing learned during their investigations, because as it turns out, a phone call had been made to 911 the very same night. After hearing a man scream, "Please don't do this, just let me leave," neighbours reportedly heard multiple gunshots coming from inside the Dudley residence. But when officers arrived to inspect the property, all the lights were out and no one appeared to be home. And believe it or not, they left the premises with no further action. However,
This is not the first time we've heard this. We just watched a video the other day where it was the Mr. Ballin one, the Candyman story. Go watch it. It's good. I liked it. It didn't have bees. It was perfect. Did police just not care? I mean, I don't know what you can and can't do as a officer of the law, but if someone tells you there was gunshots, isn't that good enough reason to just kick open that fucking door and start shooting people? I would think so.
when one of Michael's new tenants arrived at the property just 1 hour later, not only were the lights back on, but Michael was even there to greet her at the door. Peering into one of the rooms, she recalled seeing the outline of a person under a pile of clothes. The arm appeared to be bloody, and there was no movement coming from him. When she asked him what had happened, Michael responded with, "My gun worked and his didn't. Now please move along, I have a mess to clean up." Now, it's not known why she took so long to tell officers what she had discovered. I mean, we all respond to shock in a variety of ways. But
my gun worked and his didn't. That's a pretty damn good reason, though. I mean, if you sit back and you think about it.
it's something of this magnitude. I mean, come on, really? Regardless, if these allegations were true, it would be almost impossible to deny that Michael was involved in Jessica's and Austin's deaths. Based on the information discovered by and provided to authorities, they decided to process a search warrant for Michael Dudley's residence. And on the 19th of August 2020, this warrant was formally served alongside his arrest. To begin with, the general public was surprised to see Michael in handcuffs, as, to be honest with you, he just didn't seem the type. You would probably make the same assumption here as they did, given that the man had a very soft and friendly face.
He does. He looks like someone who plays a fake Santa Claus on at the mall. You know what I mean? Not fake. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if there's kids. The one of Santa's helpers that relays messages back to him about all the toys y'all want. Yeah. Technically not real, but employed by Santa. He looks like one of them. He looks like one.
In fact, he appeared to have a pretty solid reputation amongst the local community too. So much so that his lawyer was able to obtain 11 letters attesting to a seemingly good character. These letters noted that he had taken people in during their time of need. He also helped people when no one else would, and even flew to California to help out small communities during the wildfires. But other items—
Motherfucker sounds fucking amazing. Do you see? We literally just discussed this. It was going to be awful. He always like, oh, dude, he sounds amazing. He's a murderer. And now you're making me feel like, oh, he's amazing. I hate how he does that. Oh, these people are dead. They're shot and beat to death. Hear how great they are. Oh, they sound amazing. Oh, they're kids. Oh, they sound like the perfect little family. Oh, shit. They're dead. This dude would go places and help people, feed the needy. He ain't greedy. Oh, he sounds amazing as shit. He killed the other two people. That's why the kids are now orphans. Every fucking time.
of evidence firmly contradicted these claims, and in fact, the evidence was stacked so high against him that he would even be denied bond while investigators built a case against him, and rightfully so, as behind the supposedly soft man's—
I wouldn't let him get bond either. Honestly, I'd shot him in his fucking face. Can't trust it. It's one of those mall Santas.
gentle and kind facade were a few very dark and terrible secrets, ones that would turn any saint into a monster. So where do I begin? For lack—
Almost jerked on my own coffee. We're good, Adrian. We're good. Look at that. Video's over. Oh, I can't cover it. Oh, shit. Damn, I don't want to feel bad for this guy. He's going to end up saying some shit, and I'm going to be like, ugh.
of a better phrase, this man really is a sack of shit. Let's start with the smaller of his list of charges. Michael had a criminal history dating as far back as the 90s. These crimes included grand theft auto, or in other words, stealing cars.
He's going to get to, well, this is why he did it every time. The worse the things he did, the worse the things that happened to him. Guarantee it.
But moving forward, he would go into much heavier offences. This included trafficking, possession
Gateway drug, gotcha.
of drugs, and then even worse, Dating back just 2 years before Austin's and Jessica's deaths, a restraining order was filed against him, and this order was from no one other than his very own daughter. The documents highlighted state that Michael had sexually assaulted her for a period of 9 years, from the age of 10 through to 18. This included being drugged, sexually assaulted, and even forced to share a bed with him. He would even threaten her with a firearm should she tell anyone or step out of line. Michael's daughter went on to say that she never felt safe in her own home, or even in the general public, leaving her with a mountain of psychological trauma. Now, regrettably, the court ultimately denied the order because, quote, these allegations did not meet the definitions of sexual assault and fall under domestic violence. Now, honestly, it is
Bull fuck. If your daddy drugs you, pediddles you in his bed, that's sexual assault. That's bad. That's bad. That's bad. That's Let's move on. Before I say something I regret not saying sooner.
insane to me to think that such a serious offence was theoretically thrown out the window due to not meeting legal definitions. Bureaucratic bullshit, if you ask me. Either way, the order and all other allegations were never looked at again, and just like that, Michael was allowed to walk.
I like your vernacular, sir. Bureaucratic bullshit. Oh, Adrian, speak your truth, brother. Like it.
Free. His dark and hidden secrets did not stop there, however. Back in 2016, he was arrested
I told you can't trust small Sam. Shift.
and charged with assault after beating up his ex-girlfriend, all while holding a gun. Now, Jessica was very close to her aunt and had shared many concerning stories about her landlord, Michael. With a very comfortable plot of land, he owned several chickens in the backyard. It is alleged that after one of his dogs got to one of his chickens, he beat the dog to death with a hammer. And all of this happened right in front of Jessica and Austin, who watched on in horror. The two seemed to be terrified of the man at times, but
You beat a puppy dog to death over a chicken? I mean, I remember my great grandpa killing two of his dogs because it kept getting into the chicken pig. But he was a farmer. Like the chickens was his livelihood, and the dog was going in there and killed. Wasn't even eating them. It was just so there's a difference, you know. I don't think I can kill a puppy doggy over a chicken, not with a hammer. Even my great grandpa, he would make it fast. It shoot it like I said. He can't have a dog that does that. No, can't give it to someone he knows because it would do the same thing to them. Oh fuck! I hate this dude so much. Tell me that something bad, traumatizing happened to him. Go ahead, Adrian. I don't think that's going to change my feelings on this piece of shit in any way, shape, or form. I don't think I'm going to feel bad for feeling bad about anything. Like, this dude's a royal piece of shit. But am I wrong? Isn't that how it normally goes? Like, oh, he's the biggest piece of shit ever. Yeah, he was touched by whatever, and this happened and that happened. It's like, oh god, no wonder he fucking went stupid. Oh shit. But now I just generally hate the motherfucker, and I don't care what happened to him. I don't.
in addition to this, they struggled to afford rent, which, by the way, was $1,500 per month. It is thought that this act of aggression from Michael could have been an
You just paying this son bitch $1,500 a month for rent and you couldn't afford someplace fucking else? How fucking pricey is the places y'all was looking for? Damn.
Intimidation tactic to make the couple cough up the cash on time.
Yeah, where I live, $1,500. I mean, if I'm not too picky, that's still, good neighborhood. We're like 5 apartments. I mean, don't get me wrong. Utilities wouldn't be included or nothing, but I could rent 5 apartments $1,500. They're not going to be huge or beautiful.
Apparently, he had even broken into their car on multiple occasions, left trackers on other people's vehicles, and even pointed a gun at an electrician after the two had an argument. Jessica's aunt knew that both of them were in a very tough situation, down on their luck without a strong paycheck and in the middle of a very scary time with COVID-19 ripping through America. Although letters attested that Michael helped people in need, it seems to me that he was doing quite the opposite. I mean, $1,500 a month for a single room sounds like absolute madness.
Yeah.
Others who have had negative experiences with Michael recall him as a man with an affluent family and close ties to California. Not only that, but he told many of them his desire to kill his neighbours and other people. After their deaths, and while Jessica and Austin remained silent, Austin's father went to Michael's home to ask him where they were. That is when Michael told him,
This didn't set red flags up for anyone in his vicinity, in his circle, in his little shindig groupie group of people, home slices. You know what I mean? Nobody was like, hey, man, you probably shouldn't want to have to kill that many damn people around you. Like, you might have issues. You might want to seek help. Dude should have got better friends.
that they had recently moved out.
I would have told him about himself.
But of course, Austin's father didn't buy this. To make things worse, he noticed a pile of clothes draping from the garbage bin, and upon further inspection, he recognized some of the clothing to be his son's. He also knew that both Jessica and Austin were struggling with money, so for them to just run away and leave all possessions behind made absolutely no sense at all. Following Michael's arrest, and when crime scene investigators searched the property, they found bullet holes, bullet strikes, spent rounds from a 9mm pistol, and blood in the same room that the woman claimed to see a hand emerging from the pile of clothes. Furthermore, that same room's wall had been painted in the weeks prior, and the smell of bleach emanated from the floor. Through both of these actions, it became evident that much effort had been made to refurbishing it. On the very night of his arrest, he was interviewed by detectives. Michael had claimed that Jessica and Austin had stayed with him during the quarantine period, and that no one else had stayed with them over that time frame. He went on to admit that the room they had rented from him was, in fact, the very same room that was recently painted and cleaned. Apparently, they were not able to afford the rent that month. He further admitted that this led to arguments between them, but fell short of any actions or consequences. When asked about the blood found in their room, he told detectives that Jessica had cut herself in the weeks prior, but he couldn't explain the bullet holes or bullets, and on that basis was kept in custody. The legal proceedings to this case remained under the radar right up until its trial, and in fact, I'd been keeping a close eye on this for about 2 years, with almost no information given to the public. The trial was rescheduled 3 times for unknown reasons, but in October 2022, it finally began. By the way, it was noted that Michael's well-off family had already tried to sell his house just 4 months after the murders, without any citation of the horrors that unfolded before. Several witnesses came to the stand, including the woman who briefly moved into Michael's house on the night that Jessica and Austin were killed. During his trial, she testified that he had scratches and broken eyeglasses after the altercation. The woman also saw several guns in the bathroom sink and witnessed apparent bullet strikes to furniture in the same bedroom. Officers discovered 2 bullet holes in the same location. One of them had been patched with plumber's putty and painted over, and a can of the same plumber's putty was later located in Michael's bedroom. Now, phone records showed that his mobile phone pinged off a tower near West Seattle's Alki Beach late on June 18th, 2020. Out of 3 months worth of obtained data, this was the only time it did so, and the very next afternoon, our group of teenagers found the suitcase. But Michael's defense put up
Whoa, bro, this is like, it's skull fucking me right now. It is. I'm not even gonna lie. So, this dude is charging these poor kids $1,500 a month for a fucking room. Does that include utilities? Do they still have to chip in on utilities? Do they still have to pay for food? Because if I'm paying $1,500 a month, I ain't paying shit else. You're gonna buy me clothes. You're gonna buy me food. You're gonna no. That's a lot of fucking money. I wouldn't pay that, and I'm buying a house. Don't even fucking pay that. Then they can't afford it, so you get fucking angry and kill them. Paint everything, clean everything, so you're having to spend more money. Then you go to the beach one time, and the very next day there's kids finding bodies. Oh my god. I hope you get life in fucking prison, bro. I hope your old booty is getting broke in and broke down.
Up an intense fight against the prosecution. They argued that the data presented to the jury was unreliable and cherry-picked by the prosecution. Furthermore, they claimed it was next to impossible to determine a person's location based on mobile phone pings. They also highlighted that an attic-to-basement search of Michael's house by blood experts didn't turn up any compelling evidence, and other than a smudge of Austin's blood, no more was found. To demonstrate this, the defense presented 2.5 2-litre bottles of Diet Coca-Cola, representing 5 litres, which is the average volume of blood found in the human body. Compare that to a teaspoon of blood found by the blood experts, and you've got a very different story. They also highlighted that no blood was found in Michael's vehicle, and that firearms experts also agreed that the 3 bullets found in their bedroom did not go through a human body. But the prosecution maintained a very compelling story, and with the assistance of his criminal history, mobile phone data from Michael, Jessica, and Austin, witnesses and testimonies, and his answers given in his own interrogation, Michael had nowhere to run. The jury would only take 1.5 days to come back with their verdict. And finally, on December the 8th, 2022, after a 2-month-long trial, Michael Lee Dudley was found guilty on 2 counts of second-degree murder. In addition to this, the jury also concluded that he was armed with a firearm when he killed them, which automatically adds 10 years to his prison term. It was determined that Jessica and Austin were unable to afford their rent for the next month of their tenancy. This resulted in a dispute between the couple and their landlord.
Suck a dick, fucking mall Santa looking some bitch. Yeah. Yeah. Plus 10 years because you're a piece of shit. Yes. Oh, I'm so happy he's gone. Taking these poor kids for everything they fucking got. They 5 children on their fucking own. Yeah, $1,500. Yeah, they might not have been able to get like a huge ass place. I don't know, what it's like where they live, but they could have got them a small place, like at least 3 bedrooms. With the boys, girls with the girls, and them take another one. Fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it.
Sending Michael into a fit of rage. He murdered both of them in cold blood, dismembered their bodies, and then disposed of their remains in Puget Sound. But fate would pull their bodies.
Here's my question. Okay, she had 4 kids by another dude. He had 1 kid. Did they not have full custody? Did neither one of them have full custody of the kids? Was the kids there when this fucking happened? That's what I'm asking, basically. Shit. Don't know. I don't know why I took the longest way
back to shore. And in an even greater stroke of luck, the randomized coordinates of an exploration app would bring a group of TikTok using teenagers to the evidence.
That's fucking creepy in itself. How did Randonautica fucking know that? What kind of sorcery black magic bullshit is it?
Their videos would bring all eyes to the story, which ultimately led to all eyes on Michael Lee Dudley, a man who is now infamously known as a murderer, an abuser, a thief, and allegedly an animal killer.
I hope he gets it so much in the butt that every time he farts it sounds like a train blowing its horn.
Michael's sentencing is set for March the 10th, 2023, and it is very likely that he will receive a life
Hey, right around the corner, y'all. Right around the corner. Hey, picked a good video. Maybe he'll do an update of it, like once we figure something out, and it would be pretty close to the videos. You can go back and watch this one again, then watch that one. I just, sometimes luck works out that way and stuff just falls in your lap.
sentence without the possibility of parole. To be honest with you, for all I care, I hope they chuck him behind bars and throw the key away. But let's face it, with a verdict like this, and at the age of 68, his life is pretty much over.
No, he could be one of them son bitches that live to be like 114, bruh. Don't sit there and act like he can't. He could have another 40 years in him, bro. No, I can't trust that. I want 6 life sentences.
Austin's and Jessica's families welcomed the verdict, and now with Michael behind bars, they hope that they can now move forward with their lives. No doubt they will live on in their memories. Jessica's family remember her as a beautiful ray of sunshine, whereas Austin's family remember him as a man with a big heart. Both of them were struggling to financially keep afloat in a year so troubling and devastating for many of us. And it's a real tragedy that they unknowingly found their way into the home of a violent monster. You know, I'm not one to believe in superstition, but I have to admit it's very weird that a random app with random coordinates led teenagers to a body on the very day it was there. The chances of that happening are extraordinarily low, so you have to ask yourself, was this a stroke of pure luck? Or was something more mysterious at
It was witchery. It was some tomfuckery. It was some bullshit. I don't like it. Like, that's some black magic shit. That's some voodoo. I don't know. Like, how did the app know there was dead people, bro?
play here? I'll leave that one for you to decide, and as for me,
It scares me, Adrian. I don't want to think about it no more.
I'm going to wrap this case up here today, folks. Thank you so much for being here for another video today by Coffeehouse Crime. If you found this
End a month more, buddy. That's right. That was an amazing story. I really like that one. I knew nothing about it. I'm not the biggest fan of TikTok. A few things that my kids have shown me. I know the one about like the girl that found a hole behind her mirror and went into it, and there was an empty apartment. There was a water bottle, and random dumb stuff. Yeah, honestly. I really enjoyed it. I really did. That was an amazing video. It's crazy. How did the app know? Wow, it's dry. Everyone, it's a warm out. Throat's itchy. It happens. Hate it. All right. I really enjoyed that. I really liked how I figured like they got the coordinates from Aeronautica because maybe someone hacked into them or something and put it up there. That's mind blowing to think that Aeronautica randomly just throws out, I don't know, just randomly throws out coordinates and boom, there's shit there. Like, how? How do you know, bro? Wow. That's some witchery shit. I don't care what anyone says. That's how it is. I really enjoyed it. If you all enjoyed today's story, think about going down there and putting a little hex on that like button. I'll give you a second. If it's a long spell, you can pause and go, whatever. Take your time. Don't hurry, hurry. All right, we're moving on. And if you're a fan of the spooky, scary, strange, deranged things that make your brain go from tickling to glurpy, think about subscribing. Go get Glurp Brain together, bro. I'm down if you're down. As always, be good to one another. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. What kind of fuckery shit was that? Like, kids, the dogs, the people, the suitcase, the whole fucking story was just.